Good morning. I'm Bill Babcock with Expert Amateur. I thought I'd bring you folks up to date on what's going on. I don't actually have a dead mouse on my chest. Some of you have complained about wind noise, and it is a windy day here in Maui, so I'll be spending the morning wing foiling instead of working on this stuff. But, and I didn't get punched in the mouth. I had some dental surgery. But it's all healing well, and I'm fine. So here's the EG4 12K PV that I installed last week, and I've been wiring it up. I'm not connecting it to my house or to the grid yet. I want to have an electrician do that, somebody who's familiar with the ins and outs of the permit process here in Maui. But I did connect it to our, my legacy photovoltaics. They're 32 panels with N-phase microinverters, about a 12-year-old system. They're like 250 watt panels that probably have never put out 250 watt panels as long as we've had them. But they work fine, and they generate a reasonable amount of power. So right now they're just charging the battery and not supplying the house or the grid. This is this piece of conduit here that I installed runs from, this is where the PV power comes in, and so this piece of conduit is running over there to the EG4 12K PV. This mess here is so I could, this is just a neutral running, a neutral tap running to the house power, because both the N-phase Enlighten monitoring system and the EG4 require a real neutral. The N-phase microinverters put out 220 or 240 volts thereabouts, but they don't have a neutral. So I'm using the house neutral, and I think that's the appropriate thing to do. And I did chat with a couple of people, a couple of knowledgeable people about it. They told me, yes, indeed, you want to run a neutral line. So that's what I did. I'm not the world's greatest constructor of things like this, but I did as neat a job as I could manage. And it's working. It took a little while to get the configuration right. I had to update the software and do a few other things. And I'm not certain that the configuration is completely correct yet, but this is their symbol for AC coupled solar. So the AC coupled is coming in here. I think you can see this. There's a fair amount of reflection off of it, but we'll do the best we can. So I'm getting right now 1,300 watts out of it, which is not a lot. It's overcast today. Just went to 998 watts. But it's charging the battery. The battery's up to about 79%. I've got a little tiny load here, 86 watts. That's probably just the what all this equipment draws, since it's not connected to house load. That's probably just internal loads. But anyway, we're charging the battery up. It was down to about 45%. So while I was fiddling around with all this stuff, so it's nice to see it coming up. As you can see, or hear, I assume you can, There's no noise coming from this thing. It's cool enough out here so that the fans are not running. There's a whole bunch of fans down under here. But configuration was pretty straightforward. Mounting was fairly straightforward. I mean, I mounted the battery by myself. That's about a 300 and something pound battery. I had to do some interesting rigging just to get it out of my garage. I had to mount a bolt in there so that I could use a come along to get it up over this little threshold. But I did it. Got it out here and used a dolly to move it around, and the edge of the dolly to lift it, and I made some wooden wedges with a very slow taper. And then my next door neighbor helped me lift this onto the rack. I didn't get the rack 100% correct. I can't quite line up the locking bolts. As you can see, they're sitting a little high. I used the measurements indicated in the manual, but I think those measurements were for the prior version of this battery, which had solid rubber legs on it. This version has adjustable legs, and even with the lock nut removed, I couldn't get it low enough. But it's not going anywhere. It's just not bolted to the rack. But it's on the rack, and it's resting on the tile. So I think we're in good shape. So that's where we stand. I'm going to have to wait for an electrician to do the rest of what I need to do. Maui in general, there's a lot of work available for electricians or for any tradesman right now because of the reconstruction of all the houses for people who lost their homes in Lahina. So there's a pretty substantial construction boom going on, and I haven't been able to find an electrician willing to work on my somewhat wacky project. I'm going to be, the plan is, of course, I'm not really planning on using this to power the house except for during outages. I mean, we'll feed the grid, we'll feed the house with power when the grid's available and when solar's available. But unless I add a bunch more solar, it's not going to be that much. I have two breakers that feed this house, what are fundamentally the system connects. This is the main house breaker. This goes to the pool equipment room, which is across the pool, which also has a bedroom above it and a caretaker cottage. Neither of which are really used very much except when we have guests and visitors. So primarily I'm going to be powering the pool equipment room because that's where the sprinkler pump is going to be. And it should be quite convenient for me to power that. And then all the other loads in that little bedroom over there, and the caretaker cottage, and for that matter the pool recirculation and filtering stuff will be controlled by Home Assistant. So if I need the power, if I need the sprinkler to run for the full capacity of the battery, then I'll just shed all those loads, just shut them all down with Home Assistant, and just run what I need for protecting the house with sprinklers. We also have some folks coming in to push back the jungle a bit. This This has all gotten way overgrown. And even our giant monkey pod tree out there has been spreading out and getting too big, and it's starting to have branches die at the extreme, in the extreme distances and fall off. So it's time to clean up the landscaping and make this place a little more fire resistant just from the landscaping alone. And then we'll add the sprinklers next year and finish the project. It's a big, I said from the beginning, it's a big project, and it's taking a lot of my time, and I want to get in some of the actually enjoyable things that I do here. So we'll be trimming out a lot of this brush, and like as I say, pushing back the jungle, eliminating the bamboo around here, and just in general revisiting the landscaping with an eye towards mitigating the wildfire danger. So that's it for now. I'm going to go wing foil. Have a good morning.